I think the other area I'd really like to dig into on this one, guys, and Johan, maybe I can get your thoughts on this one, Johan. This isn't something that you can do with, and to build on Mike's point a little bit, this isn't something you can do with any organisation. Is it? When we talk about the benefits of servitization, we're talking about, long-term, highly profitable service contracts, but service contracts where there's a shift in balance in terms of the risk from the service provider taking more risk than the customer. That's always been my kind of real short definition of something that's very complex. For me, that's reliant on more than just a business relationship. There's got to be deep layers of trust in there as well, haven't there? On both sides. I suppose to formulate that into a question rather than a statement. I would suggest that the key to that, beyond the relationships on an interpersonal level, the key to that is data, isn't it? Is being able to be transparent, to demonstrate where the value is because that in a servitized relationship between two companies, it's absolutely critical that everybody knows exactly what's going on at all times. Do you think I've got that right, or do you think I'm going down the wrong route there? Do you think data is critical in terms of that transparency and building that trust, I suppose, is where I'm going?
No, I think you're on the mark there. Obviously, data speaks tremendous value, especially in these days. I do think that there needs to be an open relationship. The information needs to be widely available between whether it's 2 or 3 role players. So as you mentioned before, if it's the customer, the partner, as well as the servitization supplier or services supplier, there needs to be a relationship. At the end of the day, in order to bring servitization or to be successful in providing servitization, there needs to be sustainability and there needs to be trust, something that you mentioned, which I think is very important. All these pieces of the puzzle need to come together in order to make sure that you can actually provide this service successfully. So yeah, I think everyone plays a crucial part, and there needs to be openness and transparency in order to make sure that everything gets done the way it should be done.
Yeah, just a couple of quick points around that. Particularly, that speaks back to that importance of customer selection, because oftentimes these are new services, right? Yeah. And nobody wants to be first, right? We don't want to be the guinea pig. So you have to find that customer who has that level of trust with you, in order to kind of go down that journey together, so that you can then ultimately turn it into, a servitization model. And so then that also speaks to the industry that client is in. So you can't just pick one, right, and think that it's going to work across all industries, because a service engineer, say, who's working on a tower fixing a siren, has very different needs than someone who's in a hospital working on a piece of equipment. And you have to have the language that's different. You have to be able to speak their, talk their talk as well as walk their walk, kind of a thing. Speaking of analogies. And so I think that, adding those two components are really what makes that critical.
Yeah. That's a really good point. And in fact, there's a case study I often reference back, but it's one that was told to me behind closed doors, so I can never reference the company, but it's fascinating that an organisation working food production that did everything you could imagine to get the servitization piece right. They hired people that had been there and done it twice. They invested heavily in the technology, the infrastructure, developed the processes, but the market wasn't right for it, because in the market they operate in, when the downturn's there, they're looking at minus 2% on the bottom line, and when it's booming, it's plus 2%, and it's such a consistent. There was never that market pull to require it, so the status quo remains. So it's absolutely understanding the market going into is as critical, perhaps, as understanding the client and whether there is an opportunity for disruption in that market. Really, really good point. Hi there, Kris here from Field Service News. Hope you're doing well. Just a quick reminder that if you've caught your timing right on this and you're watching it as it's current, so July 2023, then you will be able to access the full-length version of this discussion. Just head over to FSN Free. There's links, depending on where you're watching this. If you're watching it on YouTube or LinkedIn, There's links below. If you're watching from our site, the links may be to the side or at the bottom of the page, depending on what browser you're using and whether you're on mobile or desktop. But there will be a link below that will allow you to access the full content, taking about less than 30 seconds. You can sign in with LinkedIn now as well, and it's forever free, and you'll get a selection of monthly resources. And this month, this is one of the great resources that's there. Always the resources are premium quality content, so it's worth signing up 30 seconds at a time. Go and check that out. Enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks for your time. Take care. Bye bye.